Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining Tuskegee University SMART to celebrate KUJICHAGULIA. If you're not familiar, Kwanzaa is a 7-day holiday beginning the day after Christmas and acknowledged through the first of the new year. Kwanzaa was founded by Maulana Karinga as a way of uniting and empowering the so-called Black community. Cannabis is an extremely versatile agriculture commodity with over 50,000 implications for everyday use, where smoking is only one. KUJICHAGULIA is where we explore the diversity of cannabis and what it means for the future of our community, especially in the face of climate change. Today, we celebrate the principle of KUJICHAGULIA, which represents self-determination. Habari.
KUJICHAGULIA. Say KUJICHAGULIA.
KUJICHAGULIA.
Thank you, Councilmember Robertson, for joining us to celebrate our second day of KUJICHAGULIA as we celebrate the principle of KUJICHAGULIA. KUJICHAGULIA stands for self-determination. And we want to ask you, as our first question, what does KUJICHAGULIA, again, self-determination, what does that mean to you as it relates to your work in the political space and in the cannabis industry?
Well, it basically just means my life. It means my life purpose because I've been determined every day to be better than I was yesterday. So I try my best to be my best. When I found out about the opportunity to be in the hemp and cannabis business, I knew I found something I wanted to do for the rest of my life, in addition to serving the community. So I'm living my best life at the best time because I am determined to continue to deliver good services to my district and also good products of hemp and cannabis to our community.
Now, you've been active in both the political realm, serving as a council member, but also very intricately in the cannabis space, having been an entrepreneur in that space, owning one store and then now preparing to open up a second store here in East Point, Georgia. So can you describe, having been in the industry, where were we last year and where are we now? What has changed in the last 365 days? What has changed in the political space and the business space to allow us to make gains in the cannabis industry?
This industry is a moving beast. This industry, every day there's something new that you can add or learn more about this industry. What I can tell you from the policy, from a federal level, we still have challenges in the banking industry. We have to work those out. I'm working with the Hemp Roundtable to construct policy. We're sending letters to some of my local congressmen and senators on that so we can make sure that they understand banking is very important. And also, I also serve as the president of the Black City Councilmen of Georgia. So Georgia has over 530 cities. I have about 40 cities with Black City Councilmen that look like me and you. And now we have an opportunity to focus on policy. We have an opportunity to focus collectively. So one of the first things we're working about is decriminalizing marijuana. I introduced that in City East Point last month, and that has already passed. Atlanta has already passed. So now we're sharing policies and resolutions with our members so they can start dropping it in their other cities. So we have a strategic look to make the state go better. But we still have a lot of work making sure that the right people get a piece of equity share. We're challenged right now because big pharma, big corporations are coming in and they act like they don't see us. But we are the ones that they see when they want to sell their products. We are trying to flip that script because we are here and we're demanding and creating our own table so we can eat and make our families eat. This is a legacy play. Don't get this twisted. What we do now is for our children's children's children, and we're here to make sure we get a piece of this pie.
Shay.
Absolutely. I know we're definitely on self-determination, but I definitely hear a lot of collective work and responsibility tied into these gains that you've been able to make here together in the state of Georgia. So thank you guys so much for being an example and showing us what is possible when we come together and we move united, as one, and being able to share resources and knowledge across the board. It makes it so much easier for us to navigate these playing fields. And another thank you, for sharing as a neighboring state in Alabama. We have a great opportunity to learn from what Georgia is already putting down, because we're coming in behind you and within the cannabis industry.
And let me tell you, you have to make sure that most people, this is what I did. I disarmed my what they call our competitors. What I did is when I saw someone that looks like me that has a CBD store or even a smoke shop or either in a dispensary, start a conversation, support them, let them know that we need each other. So we built under the Hemp Minority Alliance, we formed a coalition with 5 states, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee, of identifying the Black and brown communities, business owners, manufacturers, and farmers, so we can unite together. As you know, in October, we had the Hateville Hemp Festival. That was just the introduction to say that we're here. We want to make sure that we know each other, and now doing business. From that activity, now I carry 4 or 5 other Black-owned products. We have to make sure that we buy Black quality products so we can make sure that we support each other. Because if we don't support each other, nobody else will.
Absolutely. Can you give us a snapshot of the different political views or stances that we're at right now, whether it be a local snapshot or where we're standing nationally or federally within the cannabis space?
Things are going to be moving fast, because even though I'm an elected official, I've navigated, I've talked to the governor, I've talked to the White House, we've had correspondence with a lot of different people, but there are also rooms and conversations going on that some of us are not privy to. And then you wake up, and next thing you know, a gas station and the whole state is going to open up a dispensary. How are they bypassing regular dispensary to sell cannabis? We have to change the game right in front of us. You familiar with the Quick Trips? In January, they're going to be selling cannabis in every gas station in Florida. That's like, really? They're creating rules as they go, and they're trying to keep us and box us on the outside and make us look over there while they're planning over here. But oh, no. We are demanding our equity share, and we're making sure that we do all the right things so we can empower our community and more importantly, educate them. My approach on this space is basically holistic healthcare. The cannabinoid provides so many resources so you can heal your body. We have to educate our community right now. Here in Atlanta, they just closed the hospital. They closed the hospital in Atlanta, and then 2 months after that, they downsized another hospital. Right now, we provide holistic health care, and we can provide that information for our community. Our legacy members of our family, they coming in with pain, they coming in with arthritis, they have issues with chronic illness from cancer, multiple sclerosis. This cannabinoid, based on the case studies, is part of the holistic options for our community. So we have to educate our community on that while we demand our equity share. We gotta have our equity share.
Definitely. So cannabis, like you said earlier, is kind of like a beast unlike any other, right? So the first part of this question is, what separates the cannabis industry from any other industry that you've come into contact with? And what lessons have you learned from navigating this cannabis space, whether it be politically, socially, intimately dealing with people? What lessons have you been able to take?
Well, full disclosure, I think most people have been exposed to marijuana for a very long time. I think it's been in a lot of people's families and households for a very long time, good, bad, or indifference. A lot of times it's put some of our families in harm's way, and they get detained. And a lot of times we realize, as we have been exposed at an early age of this, at that time was taboo. Marijuana, reefer, all was taboo, but now this is a multi multi-billion-dollar industry. It has a whole different face, and they're changing the narrative. They're making the narrative more vanilla when it needs to be brown, because we started this. So understand that we understand. And me, as a city councilman elected official, I understand this game. I'm a former congressional aide. I was working for Congress in the 90s, late 90s. Okay, so I understand these policies. I know how to follow and read up on making things work. And see, when they form these Senate panels and commissions, we need to be at those Senate panels so we can have conversations and voice our opinion. A lot of times people say, well, we don't have enough votes, but we have a big voice. Just get us in the room so we can advocate. We can help you. I need help. Everybody needs help together. We cannot do this alone in this space. This is a big business. So today, this cannabis, everybody, you can go outside and you can smell that beautiful aroma, because it's there, it's everywhere. And we should not think it's taboo. This is just a natural plant from the ground, and I love it. Yeah, we raised $17,000 for it. He didn't win then, but we win together, so the fight is not over. We're still pushing this movement. You guys, this is what we're about for. This is a legacy play. When I speak to people, young people coming to my store, this gentleman came into my store the other day, big, robust young brother, and he had a gun. I said, excuse me, young man, you can't bring your firearm in here. I'm the only one in here strapping. And I'm a triple OG, you know. And then he was very respectful. He went outside, put the gun in the car. He had a couple of his partners with me. We sat down. I have a very comfortable space. He sat down. He's been in this business, unauthorized, selling it for a long time. So now I have a captive ordinance to educate him on this business, how I can teach him and provide this information. I said, listen, you can stand on this side of the counter or over here, and you can be in this business legit. And so I've been mentoring him for 3 months now, okay, and getting this business. Also, we have to educate ourselves. Everybody in my establishment, we take a course, the medical cannabis course that Dr. Henderson has in Georgia. We take that course about $1,000. We take that course, about 5-6 courses on it, and we educate ourselves on the terpenes and the terpines on it, all the benefits of cannabinoids. So when they come into our store or call us on the phone or anything, that we can educate them. We have what we call a CBD minute. Again, my store is CBD City at Cascade Heights and CBD City at East Points. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Your health matters at CBD City. This is a very profitable business. I tell everybody, take your time, educate yourself. If it's not you, somebody else in your family, but everybody needs to get into this business or educate themselves about this business.
So can you build a little bit more on what you're saying right now and how that relates to self-determination, right? Because in a sense, when we think of self-determination, that involves like the ability to name yourself, right? And this is day 2 in Kwanzaa. So day 1 is about unity. And when we talked about unity yesterday, we got to really expose that unity begins with the self, right? And it begins with unity in terms of how you see yourself, how you show up in the world, between your brain, your spirit, your soul, and your body, and things like that. So I'm wondering, what are some of the things that we need in order to move forward?
Let me just take a step back, and in reference to building a foundation, please do this right. Make sure that you get you a CPA, okay? You want to make sure you get an attorney. Those are very important areas. You have to have your foundation right. If you don't have an attorney, and if you have a CPA, you're building on quicksand. We brought in a very high profile, it doesn't have to be high profile, just have someone in your corner, high profile attorney. And we brought in an accountant that will give us the guidance that we need. Everyone's gonna get QuickBooks and all the other stuff, but you want to have a solid attorney and a solid CPA, because that's the building of your foundation. Because as you grow, You want to make sure you're building it right. You want to make sure that if you have a logo, that you get your trademarks on it or your copyrights on it. Because as you grow, you have to make sure that you can expand your business and everything is covered. And make sure that you don't sleep on that digital real estate. That digital real estate is important. So whatever your name is in this space, make sure your name is the same thing in that space, and on those digital platforms so they can find you. Start your foundation off right. That will give you the determination to move forward. Because if you do not start it off right, you'll have the determination to figure out, how did I get here? This is what I can tell you. A lot of people who started out in business, a year or two later, if you look around, they're not working together because they didn't start it off right. So you have to make sure that you're starting your business off right. The people around you are very, very important, very important. So the foundation gives you determination to move forward.
Definitely. So you all in the Atlanta area, right, in East Point, have really been kind of like a shining star in the state of Georgia, as well as Georgia as a state in the Southeast. And so at SMART, Tuskegee University, we like to say that agriculture is not a part of cannabis, that cannabis is a part of agriculture. And so when we look at the Black Belt, in the Southeast, we know that as climate change becomes more real, that the South really has something to say, right? And that it really plays a major role in how we move forward against climate change, and CBD and hemp and cannabis is going to play a huge role in that. So I'm wondering, what would you like to see from your neighboring states and cities as they become more involved in this industry?
Well, I like to see more people that look like us at the table. I like to see to make sure that we have people like us that are farmers, that are manufacturers, that also you can be an accountant, you can be a lawyer, you can be a processor. There's so many different ancillary businesses and services in this space. I just brought on 2 content creators in this space so we can make sure that we maintain our relevancy out there in our digital real estate. If you don't have relevancy in that digital real estate, who are you? Nobody knows you. You got to stay relevant. I'm not saying look at me, but be consistent in building a clientele. What we do, we focus on community. It's so important to focus on community because the community is our backbone.
Ashe, so even when we talk about community, especially in our community, there are so many people who have been left behind, essentially. As we move forward, we still have people sitting in jail, we still have people getting arrested across the country. So there have been national calls around federal legalization, right? And rescheduling THC from a Schedule I drug so that we can engage in the market more openly and honestly, like your calls around the Safe Banking Act. But there have also been calls that if we don't legalize right, that we shouldn't legalize at all. And when I say legalize right, it's a call for people in the legacy market and people who are still at a disadvantage. Us as the community that was most impacted by the war on drugs and continues to be impacted by that. What is your response to that?
I want to answer that 2 different ways. First, it's just a numbers game. Right now, in 2018, the Agriculture Department said that hemp is technically legal as long as you have 0.3% THC. Then cannabis is 0.5. All they're doing is playing with numbers. It's just a numbers game right now. That's all it is. Don't get twisted. It's a plant from the ground, and now they say we have 0.3%. You can do this, you have that. It's crazy. But in reference to this advocacy, I just have to tell you, my company, Black, Brown, and Green LLC, doing business as CBD City, and my other company, Mary Green Organics, we are the only CBD store that went public to free Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner, as you know, just got released, but on July 11th, we had a public rally to free and advocate for Brittany Griner. We did an appeal to the state agencies, to the White House, to the Biden industry. We had petitions and everything. We were speaking out for this young person got detained in Russia for having something I sell in my store. I sell vapes. I sell those in my store all day, every day. And sold it for, and then she looks like us. I felt it was important for the industry to take a stand, and we took a stand, and we got picked up in 5 networks locally, and they ran that story, and it gave us a platform to continue that conversation. We reached out to Brittany's wife, the WNBA and others, let them know how we felt about it. We reached out and we took a stand because it's important. As people get detained in America and even abroad, we made sure that we were advocating for them, and we were in real time. We put ourselves right in the moment and say, free Brittany Griner, we are BG. And when she was released, I had man tears. She was just like, wow, she's released. We have people now working that when she comes to Atlanta, we will have some conversation with her, but she's just one person. We still have a lot of our brothers and sisters. Let me tell you what happened. And when the Nixon administration started a long time ago, he was getting President Nixon in the 70s. He had documentation that said cannabis is okay, cannabis is good, cannabis is fine. But you know what he did? He went the other way. He wanted to decriminalize it. He wanted to criminalize it. He wanted to make it taboo. But what he also did, he made a law that put our brothers and sisters in harm's way. What do I smell? I smell something in your car. Get out. You stop. We always got in harm's way because why? Because that law was on the book about marijuana. Now, which is legal in 27 states right now, and now everyone vanilla's in the business. Meanwhile, my brothers and sisters are still detained for something that is legal now. The world is upside down. The world is not right, but I'm not going to give up my fight. We got to free our people. We got to unite with our people, and we got to build a better business so we can make sure our legacy survives.
So what does involvement look like for transformation in the Southeast?
Involvement starts with a conversation. Involvement starts with something that you believe, you feel like you want to do. For me, it felt like me to serve the community, to educate the community, to unite the community. We mean business at our store. We mean business with our Hemp Minority Alliance. It starts with uniting our community. It starts with sharing information. A lot of people don't share information. I go to thrift books and I order about 30, 40 books on cannabis, the medical stuff for cancer, diabetes. I sell those books in my store for half price. So I have about 40 books in my store today. I sell about 5 to 10 books a month. And then I have magazines I give out free because we're always sharing information on that. We have sites of what's the difference between Delta 8 and Delta 9. What's the difference? We educate people all the time in this particular space because there's so many different moving pieces in this space. So we have to keep educating, we have to keep uniting, but we have to keep building.
All right, so our second to last question, because I know you're trying to get to. This budding industry, this budding industry attracts anyone and everyone who is able to see the opportunity. So what advice would you give to individuals who are looking to successfully navigate the cannabis space?
Well, I'll be giving courses, just to let you know, in January on this particular matter. It's 2023. Talk to me. But we'll share that information later. What I can give to them is basically, it's like any other business. At one time, everybody sold real estate, everybody sold insurance. So this business, get ready. There's going to be an avalanche of people trying to come into this business or want to be in this business or just trying to one up on you in this business. You have to be comfortable and confident with yourself first and be authentic with your delivery and authentic with your purpose of starting a business. Early on, somebody came into my store, he was a little arrogant, and I got arrogant. So it was 2 arrogant black men, and the conversation didn't end well. I didn't feel right. So I told myself, when somebody comes back in again, listen to them. Take it down a notch. Meet them where they are and see this as any type of commonality that we can build. Because sometimes they're just feeling you out and they don't know how to be better. They just want to act like they got something going on better than you. But they came into your store saying, hey, I'm better than you. And they don't even have a store, or they don't have a business card or a website. But it's okay. Meet them where they are. If you feel like giving them some conversation, do that. But it's a judgment call, because you never know. It's an instinct. You have to have a discernment, as my grandmother would say. You know, you can feel somebody's spirit. You can feel my spirit, because I bring energy to the room. I know I bring a certain level of energy because I'm on a different frequency than most. And you know, this product of cannabis and hemp, if you do it right, you stay on a very nice frequency. Keep in mind, the world is very traumatic. Everybody is self-medicating. Trust me, they're self-medicating, be it booze, be it pills, be it some other items that they're doing that I don't need to talk about, but also the holistic self-medication is cannabis. In the morning, if you took a survey, 70% of America is blazing in the morning, you know, because we start off, we have to self-medicate to deal with this foolishness out here. So I embrace this holistic plant. I love this plant. As a matter of fact, when you cut this camera off, I will partake, legally that is, in this plant. My name is Lance.
So before we go, do you have any shameless plugs, any shout outs, any upcoming events in 2023 that we should be looking towards? Do you want to say hey to your mama?
Yeah. Again, we have the 2023 Talk to Me is how to build a cannabis business, cannabis and hemp business, and your brand. So that's the first one. The second we're going to do, 2023 Talk to Me, is a round table with Black CBD store owners and how we start our business. So I'm trying to go back and share this information as we ramp up for the next Hemp Minority Alliance Festival this early summer. So we're working that. We have about 4 or 5 seminars we're going to already, MJ Biz and others. We're mapping out our conference for that. We're looking at some more white labels. I'm going to pay a visit to Tuskegee. I've already been and spoke at the HBCU Micro Hub at Morehouse. So you guys are the future. We need you. That's why I took the time to make sure that I made myself available for SMART, because I'm smart enough to deal with SMART.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Robertson, for joining us, for accepting our invitation, and again, for inviting us into your raw and developing space. We're so honored to be here with you. And we want to make sure that people know and that you are aware of our Imani is Faith celebration taking place on our last day of Kwanzaa. It's going to be a live virtual event, a round table where we're opening up the discussion, making room for education and conversation so that we can grow forward in this space.
Let me tell you something. The most important thing about this is continue the conversation and continue to get as many young people in this space as possible, because again, they're coming. We know they're coming, but they have to understand that we are already here and we're not going anywhere. We demand our equity share. Get ready.
Harambe, thank you so much for tuning into today's KUJICHAGULIA discussion. But the journey doesn't end here, bud. Join us in our Guest of the Week on January 1st, 2023 at 3:00 p.m. Central Standard Time for a live roundtable discussion around the principle of Imani, which means faith. You can register to attend the roundtable at lu.ma/CKC23. That's lu.ma/CKC23. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates from our team and to connect with our cannabis community. See you on the other side.